Charles Andrew Sims versus Charlie McKeel Sims.
Judge, what we've got here is a mother and a father who were married. They separated. There was some ill will between the two of them. Mother has immediately moved in with and spent significant amount of time and had the child around her paramour, enough so that she's even posting family pictures of them, having the child call him dad, doing everything that she can to exclude the father. The parties had tried to work out some time together, but the father has been absolutely at the mother's discretion on what time he's getting, enough so that he went to pick the child up as the parties had agreed this in the last couple of weeks, and the mother sent the Burns City Police up there to the school to tell him that he could not pick the child up. So we've had those issues throughout this case. Your Honor's going to hear from her, from the mother, and from the father that the two of them had invested a significant amount of money into the family home that's located on the property of Brent and Terry Fuzzle.
This is only here for motion for pending custody, right?
It is. I'm getting there, though. It's in regard to child support, Judge. All of the husband's assets are in that home. He has not gotten back up on his feet again enough to pay child support, though he is getting there. In the meantime, the mother of the child, Miss Sims, has started cohabitating with another man and spending a significant amount of time with him and taking the minor child from the father. She's played games, she's manipulated things, said you could have him, said you could have her, the child, and then not allowed him to have the child. Then we've also got, and I've got a witness here on this and recordings to substantiate it, we've got the father of the mother's other child who I would submit to the court would testify that Mr. Sims has helped raise that child, even when the mother has absented herself from the home. Following their breakup, the mother restricted the father from having much time with the child until recently. I do believe he's getting the child now some. And there's no reason that these—
You're saying the father of the other child is now getting some visitation?
Sorry. My client is now getting some visitation with his stepchild, who he, I think the mother would agree, has raised. The parties lived in Alabama for a period of time. They moved back here, trying to make the mother happy. They moved back to the land where the mother's family lives. Father has been asked not to be on that property. Father has decided, been asked not to do that. We've agreed that he does not go back to that property. But they've not offered him anything in order to alleviate some of the issues with his financing, and he's been out of a place to live until he moved in with his grandmother. He was having to live in Nashville for some time period. Your Honor's going to hear lots of testimony about the time he actually spent with both of these children, only one of which is the subject matter of today's court case. But the mother has severely restricted him from having the child. He did enroll the child in dance, and mother has manipulated that here and there. You're going to hear testimony that if he was going to show up, the child was not going to be there. Father even went to, child is in pre-K at Burns Elementary, and father went to the open house, and the mother chose not to bring the child and chose not to appear for the open house because the father was there. Father does not pose any threat or harm to the mother. I will say, Your Honor will hear a video that is not good, probably of my client, wherein he cusses the man that the mother is with right now because the mother has encouraged this child to call him dad, and he's allowed it. So my client lost his lost his composure with him is a very slight way to say that. I mean, he absolutely should not have done what he did. But we're asking that he has the wherewithal and the ability to care for this child on a week-on, week-off basis at the very least. And court may, after hearing the testimony and the mother shacking up with this other man before she was even really separated from him, court may decide that my client needs custody of this child. I would submit to the court that the mother has not had the child's best interest at heart when she's acted like she has as far as the father is concerned. You will also hear testimony that when the parties were together, Mr. Sims had to make sure that the mother's other child did not call him dad. Mother encouraged this child to call him dad. Mr. Sims made sure that didn't happen because this child has another dad. Mother has a history of doing these things, and the court's going to hear that today. We're asking that at the very least before we leave today, even if we don't get through with this, that there is some sort of small visitation schedule or holiday schedule put in.
Well, it's highly unlikely with the two lawyers involved that you're going to get anywhere close to finishing this thing. So I would simply, we'll go until I have a physical therapy appointment that I have to keep. There's the reason we can't go beyond 5 o'clock. So, and then I leave to go to Dover tomorrow. So I think that therein lies the problem, but we'll start it and go as far as we can.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, most of what Ms. Duke related is pure fiction. These parties have a very short-term marriage. They were married in 2020. They found themselves pregnant before they married. And they did receive the blessing of a child, Miss Blake Sims, who was born in September of 2020 after they married in April of 2020. At the time of the marriage, if I recall correctly, and I may have these dates wrong, Mr. Sims was in the Reserve Air Force. He had been in there for a number of years. They were only married 2 of those years. In October of 2022, he received a traumatic brain injury as a result of carbon monoxide poisoning. He had some issues, and we believe I can't speak affirmatively, but I think there was some issues with drug abuse on his part that resulted in him being separated from the reserves. At that point in time, he is receiving a disability from the Air Force due to this traumatic brain injury. He has a history of using marijuana, THC, but at that point in time, it's our belief that, and I think the evidence is going to show you, that Mr. Sims has some undiagnosed mental issues. He's volatile, he's threatening, he screams, he yells, he cusses. And at some point in time, he just said he was done. I think he just basically makes up stuff in his mind to justify his own dissatisfaction with his life. He's unable to obtain gainful employment. His father-in-law got him a job as a claims adjuster for Tennessee Farmers Mutual, and he couldn't even do that simplistic job. He quit it or was let go. We don't know exactly what it was, and just left and didn't have another opportunity. My client worked limited outside the home during the course of their marriage, but he just quit and decided and made up things in his mind. We have text messages and phone calls where he calls her despicable names, and he's decided at some point in time at this point in time that what's more important to him is to become a pro golfer. And he will oftentimes just decide to go out and to play golf. And he's gotten to the point of where the paranoia is such that he believes that somehow my client has manipulated his phone and is tracking him. And he was playing golf at a course in Nashville, and somehow she went up and used his his debit card to buy beer to make him look bad. It's really a scary situation, Your Honor. But my client, to her benefit or detriment, I don't know which one, loved her husband, tried to work it out, begged and pleaded to go to counseling to work things out. And he treated her with such disgust and inappropriate behavior that I think Your Honor will probably refer this for him to have a Rule 35 evaluation in this matter. And now with that, they have come back, they moved to Alabama with him. They came back here. My client's parents assisted to build them a home on their farm, and that's where they have lived. He has become combative with my client's parents. We put down an order to where he could come and get his things from the home. There's video cameras out there. Well, he goes and covers them up so he can take things, and far exceeds what we agreed for him to go and get the things off of there. There's been events when my clients tried to work with him and giving the child. I mean, there was an event at the fair that, if everybody testifies truthfully, where he became absolutely obnoxious. And again, his mental status is significantly at question, Your Honor. They had a vehicle that my client was driving. He had a company vehicle. He just up and quit his job with Farm Bureau, had to turn his company car back in, and then demanded that he get his truck that was just in his name, and told, and again, in his words, I'll leave out the expletives, but said, I don't care how you get around. It's your parents' responsibility, not mine. It's really a sad situation, Your Honor. And like I said, I think after you hear the proof, see the videos, read the text messages, and again, there's going to be, just like this last hearing that we had, we're going to have stacks and stacks and reams of messages back and forth between these parties. But again, they do have a child. Miss Blake my client has gotten a job. She is a secretary at the Burns Elementary School. Their daughter because of that, has been enrolled in the pre-K program, and is going to school. She's 4. She'll be 5 next year. So again, her birthday's on the 30th of September, so she's right on that cusp of whether she'll start regular school or not. But again, this is a situation where we do need some court involvement. I challenge the fact that my client's older child, she has a child with another gentleman. He is here to testify. I again think it's pure fiction what Ms. Dukes thinks he's going to testify to. There's been recordings and things to where this man has screamed and yelled and cussed him too. So it is a sad situation, but they have a beautiful young daughter. They both have good families. And so hopefully with the...
Well, let me ask you and Ms. Duke to look at your calendars. What do you have for this Thursday?
I'm out of the office all morning, Judge.
Well, that's the best I can do as far as another day to continue this hearing. We'll get started, but I was going to offer you Thursday, 21st, for a continuation of this hearing.
Judge, I have double mediation that has already been rescheduled, and I have a criminal matter in General Sessions Court.
The only other thing I can offer is that in Houston County, I've given criminal days out, and we have trials set, so apparently that's not going to work. So we'll look at another date after we get to this as far as we can today. So, Ms. Duke, you may call your first witness.
Judge, I call Mr. Sims.
Mr. Sims, you'll come around and raise your right hand and be placed under oath.
If you would, please state your name for the record.
Charles Andrew Sims.
And Mr. Sims, did you serve in the Air Force from November 2014 to January 2019?
Yes, ma'am, that's when I was active duty.
Okay. And can you tell the court, you heard what Ms. Roberts had to say about that. Can you tell the court what happened with your position?
I'm still currently in the Air Force. I just transferred from the National Guard from active duty, so.
Okay, scoot up so the
I'm
judge
sorry.
can hear you. That's
I'm a
okay.
little nervous, but, yes, I went from active duty to National Guard. I was full-time National Guard as a technician, so I was technically employed through the state of Alabama.
Okay. You heard her say that you had CO2 poisoning, drug abuse, separated from the reserves, you're on disability, undiagnosed mental issues. Can you address all of those statements?
There was an event where I was exposed to see carbon monoxide or CO2 poisoning. As far as medically, the Air Force and everything has said that I'm okay. My VA disability is for my back, and I got 10% for something else, but I'm not exactly sure on what that is.
Okay, but it's no.
It's nothing mind-related or mental.
Okay. And drug abuse.
No, I've never abused drugs in my life.
Do you know where Ms. Sims would get that from? Why she would accuse you of that?
I think she's just angry with me.
Okay.
I'm
Oh, sorry, I think she's just angry with
You
me.
can judge.
You can pull that microphone.
Right here. Is that good? Okay.
Would you have any problem taking a drug screen where they pulled a hair off your body so that it went back a significant amount of time?
Not really, no.
Okay. And to your knowledge, do you have any mental health issues?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. Where are you currently working?
I'm working at Montgomery Bell State Park.
Okay. And what are you doing for Montgomery Bell State Park?
I'm a spray technician at the golf course.
Okay. And how much are you currently earning there?
It's salary based. I get paid bi-weekly, and it is $10.50, so somewhere around $30,000 a year, roughly a little over.
Okay. When you were working for Farm Bureau, you heard Ms. Roberts testify that you lost or quit. She didn't really know about your job, but that you weren't able to handle that. Where was your job located?
It was in Nashville and Goodlettsville.
Okay. And where were you living when you were working there?
I was at my previous address, 1384 2 Mile Road, and then I stayed in Nashville once we had separated for some time before moving in with my grandmother.
Okay. And where are you currently residing right now?
With my grandmother.
Okay. Where is that?
That's on Highway 49 East, 2065. I think I've moved a couple times since then, so forgive me if the number's wrong.
Is it in Dixon County?
It's in Dixon. It's in Charlotte.
And where is your child currently attending school?
At Stuart Burns Elementary.
And did Ms. Sims ask you about her enrolling that child?
No.
Okay, did she ask any consideration of you when she enrolled the child?
No, she told me that that they did have a program when she started her job, but as far as the hours and what was going to work best, I wasn't in the decision making for that.
And when you found out that the child was going to go to that school, did you look into when everything was going to go on?
Yes, that's when everything started changing as far as what I could do to help. But I did start a new job where the hours did not correlate, or it's not feasible for me to help with the daycare situation at this point.
And when you figured out when the school was having their open house,
Yes, ma'am.
did you go to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Miss Sims go to that?
I believe that she was there, but she wasn't in the meeting itself. I actually found that out from one of my buddies that told me that he had
I'm going to object then to hearsay
Yeah, don't say anything that your buddy
and
said.
ask that.
as far as the date for the meeting for the child, because Ms. Sims didn't tell me.
Okay. So did you find out from someone else when open house was?
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
And Ms. Sims, did she bring the child to open house?
If she was there, I never saw her.
Okay. When you two were first married, tell me when you were married.
We married in 2020, of April. I think I was deployed shortly after that, and then came back.
And where were you living?
We were living in Alabama.
Okay, and when did you move back to Tennessee?
It was around the 2020 timeframe, right when we got married, because that was, we were starting the progressions of me transitioning jobs, or potentially looking at moving back to Tennessee.
And in 2020, where did you transition jobs to?
Farm Bureau Insurance.
Okay, did Ms. Sims' father assist you with that?
Yes, because as far as my military career was concerned, I was content, and I told him that the only way that I could feasibly move back to Tennessee was if I had a good enough job to support my family. So that was where the job situation came in.
When you separated from Ms. Sims, did it make it difficult for you to show up to the office at times?
For a multitude of reasons, yes.
Okay, so tell the court why it was difficult.
I was constantly being harassed by my cell phone. Ms. Sims would call me hundreds of times a day, and everyone that I was with. And my main communication and my main part of my job was to communicate on the phone.
Okay.
It became very stressful after that.
And did you step down from that position or let them turn in your 2-week notice?
I gave my 2-week notice. Yes, ma'am.
And from there, where did you go to work?
Shortly after, I got a job at the park.
Okay, at Montgomery Bell?
At Montgomery Bell.
Okay, did you do some construction to hold you over?
I did. I worked for
The Hogan Brothers?
Hogan Brothers, yes.
Okay.
I did some construction for a month in between getting a more permanent
Judge, I know it's
job.
foundational, but again, I would appreciate if
Sustained,
Ms.
don't
Duke
leave the
wouldn't
witness.
answer her own questions.
Construction, yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been at the park now?
2 or 3 months, give or take a few weeks.
Okay, and how's that going?
It's been great. It's been great.
What is it you do at the park?
I'm a spray technician at the golf course.
I need to fully disclose that my son-in-law, Jeff Coons, is the manager, or is one of, maybe is he your supervisor?
Yes, sir.
Seemed to me I may have a conflict. Based on the fact that if I hear this case and I rule in his favor, then under the circumstances, it obviously could be implied that I ruled that way because of the fact that he worked for my son-in-law. If I rule against him, then it can create problems, obviously, for my son-in-law with his employees. So it's a no-win situation. So under those circumstances, it would appear to me that you probably should contact Judge Turnbow, see if you can't get in to see him as quickly as possible.
Yes, sir.
I'm recusing myself from this case, and that concludes our business for today, so we stand adjourned.
Come on out here. Grab your stuff.